It does require artistic ability, it does take great concentration.
Everything exactly would have been used hundreds of years ago. Yeah, nothing has changed for me.
And I was really curious about how people using such small tool to create such beautiful pattern. It's like a pencil you're drawing.
I was an apprentice when I was 15, 61, I think that makes me 46 years as an engraver, and still learning. I had a good apprenticeship, 6 years apprenticeship. These days it frightens people to death to say 6 years before you even learn your job properly.
A lot of engravers are very good with passing on their knowledge, and I found it very, very useful, and honed my skills with lots of people that could teach.
The tools I use are the graver, the basic graver. Was used by engravers hundreds of years ago. It's never changed.
Engraving on different metals, steel is much harder, but then you can get much finer work. Silver and copper are much easier to cut, but the metal is much softer, so you can get the detail in, but it will wear down quicker. So there's minor variations to take into consideration, but they all have good and not so good properties.
If it's precious metal, it can be hand engraved, and it can be applied to anything.
Lettering is the most difficult of all, because if you can't do decent lettering, you'll never make a decent engraver. That's what I say anyway.
I do think that drawing is very, very important. If you can't draw, you really can't engrave, because engraving is just a different way of drawing. It's drawing on metal.
When I get a photograph, I look at it and I really enjoy working out how I'm going to portray it on metal, how I'm going to make it look three-dimensional, and with the play of light and shade, and that's what I love about engraving.
It's almost like they photograph, the difference between photograph and drawing. I can see the life and energy to it. So I also very enjoyed to working with by hand.
You get into the zone, you get your music going. If the light's good, it's brilliant. And you just kind of forget about everything.
This I did because I with my family's background, I wanted to get into gun engraving, and it was just something to take up to the gun makers, like the Purdy's and the Holland companies. Obviously wanted to see that I could cut on steel. I had to prove to them, although they knew who I was because of my family, I still had to actually physically prove to them that I could engrave on steel before they gave me a gun to do.
This bangle I made, that was sort of looking at patterns that ice makes. So that's one of my sort of more modern experiments.
This is a job I did for Aspreys, and it was a punch bowl, as you can see, with all this work here. That was a labour of love. It took me weeks to do that job, because this patterning it was just a plain bowl, and I had to do all this work for them.
I'm more interested about the combination the potential of the combination with the engraving line and the metal forms. Like the other piece I did, the bowl, I've been thinking how engraving line can be produced inside of the bowl.
The piece I'm most proud of is an engraving of the interior of the House of Lords, done on a silver casket. I won the Jacques Cartier Award with that, and I was the first woman to ever win that. And it took months and months to engrave, and yes, I was really happy with the end result.
We do the FA Cup, so every now and then we're allowed to go off-site, and somebody asks us, the FA asked us to engrave the FA Cup at the stadium, which is great because you see the inner workings, and also it means a lot to a lot of people. So it's quite nice to lay your hands on the actual cup when you've got a video camera normally looking at you on the FA Cup, and then you've got all the military waiting for you, and it's like, come on. It's exciting, but it's pressure for 10 minutes. Other than that, it's a good day out. So
people look at a piece and they just assume it's been kind of made by a machine, and then once you engage in conversation, they discover it's all been made by hand, and they're completely blown away. And then people usually, really engage with it and start asking more questions. So I think the more people find out, the more they want to know.
Once a customer gets a taste for hand engraving, it's a bit like a tailor-made shirt or a suit. They'll keep coming back. They'll appreciate the quality. They'll realise that it's something for life, something they may well hand down in their family.
I want to keep the originality of the traditional hand engraving, but I'm more wanting to keep that and put that into the more contemporary way and into the contemporary field. So it's into the more playful and a more experimental way.
I love the job. I wouldn't have done it for 46 years if I didn't enjoy it. So, yeah, I love the job.
So I think I was born to be an engraver.